Welcome to Behind the Bower, where creativity meets community. I'm Susan Martin, Executive Director of Bower Center for the Arts, and I'm very glad you're here listening with us today. This podcast is all about celebrating the universal language of the arts, how it shapes our lives, connects us to one another, and enriches our community. Each episode offers inspiring conversations and a fresh look at the arts through the voices of artists, performers, educators, and creative collaborators making a difference in our community. Today, we're taking you behind the scenes with two of Bower Center's talented teaching artists, Kilian and Kiera Rogerson. Both are not only accomplished artists in their own right, but are also passionate instructors who bring creativity, skill, and heart into the classrooms at Bower Center for the Arts. We're looking forward to getting to know them on a little bit more of a personal level, what inspires them, how they approach their art, and what drives their desire to teach. And we'll give you a little sneak peek into their upcoming classes with Bower Center for the Arts, what you can expect, who they're accessible for, and why you might just want to grab a seat. So whether you're a budding artist or simply just curious about creative energy happening in our community, you won't want to miss the rest of this episode. So this morning, I'm going to start out talking with Thomas. Good morning, Thomas.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm wonderful.
Awesome. So let's just start out letting you tell a little bit about yourself and kind of your journey as an artist. Let our listeners know a little bit about you.
Yes. So I'm in year 22 of my clay journey.
Wow.
So I might like it a lot. And I'm in year 2 of being a professional potter. So my livelihood comes from my passion, clay.
And tell a little bit about, what inspired you, what got you interested in working with clay, and a little bit more about, what you create.
I was 6 or 8 when I first encountered clay. I was living on an old farmstead, and there was plenty of clay. I saw a crayfish use clay to build their smokestack looking homes. And I had really admired them. And once the crayfish left house, I collected these chimneys, placing them on cedar planks. And it was kind of funny because a visitor came by the farm and had asked if they were my pots. And I never really thought about pottery until that day. And from that day forward, I actually began to experiment with clay and became a proficient self-potter by the age of 16. And the rest is history.
Yeah. Tell a little bit about what the particular themes are that you work in, techniques or artists that influence you.
Yeah, so I should say that most of my pots are considered revival wares. It's pottery pieces with some historical significance, and they're made by combining traditional and also modern materials and tools and techniques. For me, I love the potter's wheel. It's always come natural for me. I like hand building, but where it's at for me is definitely on the potter's wheel. I would say that my most inspiring potter to me would be George E. Orr. He was also known as the Mad Potter of Biloxi, Mississippi, and he was a gentleman that made a lot of Victorian-style pottery, really delicate, fancy, elegant, dainty wares. And one day he kind of went mad in a loose sense of the word, and that he started to wrinkle in his pots, and he was technically really the first art potter of the Americas. So I'd kind of like to think of myself as kind of walking where he did.
Right. Tell a little bit about, what drew you to teaching others. What was it that inspired you to come? Were you teaching before you came to Bower Center and started becoming an instructor with us, or was that something new to you? What inspired you to do that?
Yeah, so it took me a good decade to get down some of the mastery skills. So I was teaching myself, and then after that decade, I did some small teaching informally at the studio. But it was actually the Bower that first started my journey in teaching. I have always been a teacher in several different careers in life. So it came naturally to me to teach. But with teaching pottery for me was very not only important but significant because if you look around and you look at pottery and who's out there, there's very few that actually take pottery as a career, and there's even fewer that actually teach clay.
Mm-hmm.
I love the history of clay, and I've seen how true mastery skills are largely lost. And it's the studio potter, like many at the Bower, the hobbyist. Well, there's problems, and we can't seem to avoid them, or there's a knowledge gap that kind of grounds our higher aspiration or higher skill.
Right.
So after these 2 decades, I really wanted to go into the teaching studio at the Bower to share these traditional mastery skills and know-how.
Right, right. Tell our listeners a little bit about the upcoming classes that you're offering.
So we have a summer experience. It's a clay class that allows you to master 2 clay worlds in 1 class.
Mm-hmm.
You can elevate your artistic skills with our unique hand building and wheel throwing experience, which is actually quite unique to a class setting. In just 2 hours, you can learn techniques in both disciplines, and it really empowers you to create a wider range of ceramic art, which is always very nice because it actually brings some of those different techniques into maybe the wheel or just to the hand building.
Right.
The class is ideal for those that are seeking this well-rounded clay education.
Right.
The class is entitled Clayworks, and it's a 6-week class, and it's starting from a week from today,
Mm-hmm.
and that's June 3rd from 6 to 8. I want to share, I really get excited about this, and, our students pay the value of $210 to enroll, and that's $35 for 2 hours of clay for 6 weeks.
Right.
To my knowledge, that's the best price out there for such a high-value art class.
It most definitely is. And it's such a small classroom setting that they get such great one-on-one attention, but also get to build great connections with the other students in their class.
Yeah, I've, since it's been about a year with the Bower, actually a week, a whole year. Actually, today marks a whole year.
Oh, yeah?
About the Bower. So that's pretty cool. But, every class I've had, everyone comes out, and everyone are friends, and they're coming back for the second go. It's very therapeutic. They don't need to go to a therapist because they already have it.
Yeah, they can take out their aggressions.
Exactly. Yeah, some pounding in clay.
Right.
Also, this summer we have some first evers, I call them.
Uh-huh.
First, we have our first ever Juneteenth workshop. It's on June 21st. I've entitled it "Politics, Revolution, and Stoneware." It's really a first of its kind, I would say. It's a strong commentary on the pottery's historical depth,
Mm-hmm.
technology. I'm really excited to provide this because it has dynamic relevance to the legacy of ceramics
Right.
as a form of social expression in early America. And I chose the weekend of Juneteenth because pottery is very important, very significant to the history of America. And the enslaved Black Americans transformed pottery
Mm-hmm.
into like a billboard, soil for expression that was being suppressed. And so I want to explore that. So I'm marking my calendar for June 21st, and I hope that everyone can join in with me. Lastly, we have a really awesome workshop planned. I always give one center a workshop, and this year it's going to be at the Bower, called the Clay Craft
Mm-hmm.
Intensive. It's a workshop. Again, it kind of goes back to what I just shared. True mastery skills are kind of largely lost, and I want to go from these 2 decades of experience and just get to share in 5 days an intensive workshop of this know-how, from identifying, cracks in our pottery to attaching handles and into more delicate things about processing your local clay
Right.
and stacking the kiln.
Oh, that'll
That's
be
July
awesome.
14th through the 18th.
So there's a little bit of something I think for everyone. So if somebody's just, wants to, one, learn more about you, but the history of pottery, I think that your June 21st event, the talk and the demonstration is going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to that. And then for those that are ready to get their hands dirty, obviously the adult hand building and wheel throwing, is there any, experience necessary for anybody, especially for this hand building and wheel throwing class? Is there anything that, do students have to have experience before coming into that class?
They don't. As long as you're eager
Mm-hmm.
and you're a little bit of a self-starter, you're good to go. We have 4 signed up already, so we have 2 or 3 more spaces available. We have we have a great group of students that are coming back into this class, so they will even help some of our beginners. So it's really a community bank, and so just come on right in as you are.
Right. Awesome. Is there any advice you would give any of our listeners that are just curious about taking the class but might feel intimidated by it?
Yeah, I would say you should feel intimidated, um, and and it's not what it seems exactly when I say it. I mean, it does seem like a big undertaking, um, but you have to lower your expectations. I have people come in and they expect to make a pot the
Right.
first session, and that's not going to happen. But so the journey is in the process, and but no, it's not intimidated. It's really relaxing. All my students they want to do something different, and they arrive, and the first 2 sessions are a little frustrating, and by the third they're making beautiful things.
Right.
So yeah.
Awesome. Well, Thomas, I want to thank you for joining me on our podcast today. We're going to be transitioning over and having a little discussion with one of our other instructors, Kiera Rogerson. And I just want to remind everybody that our classes are available for registration at bowercenter.org. So we hope that you'll check that out. There's more information on there regarding the class itself, the dates, times, fees, information about Thomas. And if you have any questions, just feel comfortable in reaching out to us. We're very thankful to have Thomas as a part of our Bauer Center teaching staff. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us this morning.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
All right. We'll see you soon. Good morning, Kiera.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Wonderful.
It's rainy morning.
I know. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Behind the Bauer today.
Absolutely.
So we are just talking today with some of our instructors so that our listeners can learn a little bit more about you and also kind of what the opportunities are that are coming up this summer for both our adults and our youth to explore the arts. So let's start off by talking a little bit about you and share a little bit about yourself and your journey as an artist and kind of how you got started.
Yeah. I grew up in Maryland, and came down to Virginia for college, met my husband, and then we settled here in Bedford because we both love that small town community.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say my town in Maryland was one of the last small towns where you knew the librarian, you knew the bank teller, you knew the people working at the 7-Eleven even.
Right.
You knew everybody, and it was that kind of community. So we're really excited that Bedford still has that feel around here and getting involved. And one of those big things for me was getting involved with the Bauer Center. So I'm so excited. I grew up always being creative. My granddad was a very talented oil painter, and we have multiple portraits of each of my family members, my dad and his 7 siblings, and they are the most lifelike paintings and of your family, so you know exactly how they look, so they are spot on.
Yeah.
Grew up with those all over the house. And then my mom was always creative. She was actually our homeschool teacher for most of our education.
Mm-hmm.
So she allowed us to really check into with the things that we like and explore those options. And for me, one of those was creativity and just art. I also love the sciences, which is what my degree is in,
Mm-hmm.
but art is really just that grounded outlet for so much creativity.
Right, right. Yeah, we're always talking about on some of our other podcasts when we're talking with educators, also from like our local school systems, the importance that arts play in anything with regard to what you're studying or your areas of interest, and it truly has an impact at every level, I think.
Right. Yeah, I remember even in college, I would the way I would memorize things like muscle groups or cell processes is I would draw out the whole process in pictures and then go back and be able to write out exactly each step by following diagram.
Right.
That's how I learned. I learned visually like that. So like drawing, I used to be able to draw, all those little details of the cell by memory.
Yes. So tell our listeners a little bit about what drew you to this opportunity of teaching with Bauer Center for the Arts.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, my mom was always our educator up until we were in high school, and we started taking classes in the community and satellite classes. When I came to Bedford, I wanted to get involved in the community, and so I took a few painting classes in the last few years, really just to keep me motivated and keep connected. And so I went to look at the schedule this summer, and there wasn't like a basic drawing class, and I was like, I think I have the base abilities and that experience from taking so many of these kind of courses to put one together, see if we can teach some people how to just do some basic drawing.
Right. Tell a little bit about, what more students could expect with that class. And let's tell everybody the class is kind of, I think it's called Drawing from Scratch, correct?
Yes.
And it will start on June 8th. So tell a little bit about what the class will entail and, whether they need to have any experience before participating.
Well, no experience. It's an intro course. All the required materials is paper and pens. And honestly, if you wanted to bring copy paper and a ballpoint pen, I don't care. Because when it comes to these drawing skills, I've been in so many courses where they ask you to get the whole set, and then you only end up using your HB and your three of the pencils in the set or whatever, and the materials doesn't quantify the value of your art or the value of the skills. The materials don't have anything to do with that. It's really just digging into learning lines and shapes and then using those shapes to create whatever you want.
Right.
Starting with the basics.
Is there anything specific that any of our listeners would need to know? You talked about starting with the basics in the beginning. What do you envision that they walk away with at the completion of this course?
Yeah, I think the main focus would be the skills and the repetition that we would be going over. Starting with those lines, shapes, building into form, and some shading. Essentially being able to identify if you want to draw a crane, you can identify you have a cylinder or you have the square. You're building what you want to draw by using the shape.
Right.
And then layering on the details. So I have the drawing that I used for the banner for the course. It has the little teddy bear, and you can see the shape you add a little bit of 3D form, and then you go into the details. And the end result really is that you're learning the approach.
Right.
You're learning how to approach drawing what you want to.
Right.
I've had quite a few courses where, or even especially online courses these days, where they show you how to shade a sphere, which is great. But what do you do with that?
After that, yeah.
What do you do after that? So how do you take that sphere and you make it into what you want to draw?
Right.
You can take a sphere and you can make a flower. You can take a sphere and make a baseball. You can make a sphere and make it a lemon. So it's all about the approach. The end result is what you make it.
Right. Yeah, I noticed, and for those listening, if they're interested, check out our website and check out the Drawing from Scratch page, because as you mentioned, there are some examples on there, and you mentioned the teddy bear that kind of shows the steps of that they'll be taking, like you said, typically learning to draw that circle, and then how do you apply that to create that into something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there are examples on there. So folks that are interested in the class, you can see a little bit more about what direction and, what they can expect to learn from the class. Do you have any other thoughts on possible future classes that you'd like to see offered at Bauer Center, or that you yourself would like to offer?
Oh, I would love to do. Yeah, if this goes well, maybe another one in the second half of the summer. And then a lot of the times, I feel even from my experience, we can build on it. For if the same group wants to do something a little bit more advanced, we can move that into its own course.
Right. What are some of your favorite creative tools or materials that you personally work with? Is it just pencil and paper, or are there anything else?
I personally work a little bit of everything. So drawing, a lot of the time when I just have free time, I'll end up just using, like I said, ballpoint pen, copy paper, just draw whatever I see. I'm dabbled with painting with acrylics. Haven't jumped into oils like my grandfather yet, but that's a goal.
Right.
I also love to quilt and crochet and knit. I put all that together. I have my little porch geese. I like to make them outfits for each of the holidays.
Uh-huh. That's cool.
The decorations on my porch.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, maybe we can talk you into coming in and doing some quilting or crocheting. We've offered some of those classes in the past. They've been quite popular. So I know that, there's a lot of folks out there that love to learn, especially the fiber arts. And that's an area that we're very interested in, because we do have our fiber arts exhibit coming up in about a month. So maybe something like that would be a nice little tie-in.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
I love crocheting. I actually I learned when I was in middle school, and I had stopped doing it for a while, and then my little sister-in-law started, and she was trying to learn from a YouTube video, and I was like, wait a second, let me grab some yarn and let me show you, because they teach you how many loops to pull it through, but they don't teach you where to hold the string, how to hold tension, and those things. You sort of have to feel it.
Right.
You can't see that on a video.
Yeah. I know. I grew up with a grandmother that crocheted, knitted, quilted, and we learned as children. I've never been very good at it, so I think the largest thing I've been able to make is like a pot holder. But I've enjoyed it. But what you were saying, the dexterity that it takes, and your hands, is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, as we wrap up, if you could take any art class yourself outside of what you're comfortable or what you've been working in, what would it be?
Well, I have always been just amazed by the stained glass art.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. So beautiful, the way that they can take basically, little shards of glass and make these intricate pictures. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, that's something that we've offered some stained glass classes. They're very intensive and very detailed. And I haven't really, over the years, enjoyed watching individuals come in, like you said, and creating these beautiful works of art just using the smallest pieces of glass.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up, Kiera. I'm really appreciative of you joining us this morning, and we're very excited to have you joining the Bauer Center team as one of our new instructors. Kiera's class, her first one is Drawing from Scratch. It's going to start on June 8th. Remind me what the age groups are for your first class.
From adults,
okay,
I think is what we said.
Okay. And as I mentioned to our listeners, you can find information about that class and get registered for that at bowercenter.org. And I want to remind everybody that you can stay up to date on all of our information, other classes. We have our summer camps for youth starting next week, actually, and running through the end of July. So lots of great opportunities for kids for half day and full day camps. We have an upcoming concert in June. And as I mentioned, we have a solo exhibit and a Bauer Friends and Family exhibit taking place right now. And then we will have our national juried fiber arts exhibit going up towards the end of June. So we're really excited about that. So we thank you again, Kiera, for joining us. And we also want to thank Thomas for joining us earlier on in the show. And we're appreciative to everybody that's been listening. And as a reminder, Bauer Center for the Arts is where your creativity can meet with the community. So thanks for listening.